This Family Life News podcast is made possible by the support of listeners like you.
It's the Noon Report from Family Life, bringing a Christian worldview to what's happening in New York, Pennsylvania, across the country, and around the world. Weather with Kevin Williams, plus special features and reports with the Family Life News team. Now, here's what's happening.
Good afternoon. Thanks for checking in. Lake flakes continue to pile high in ski country. Wind-blown snow making for some slick travel today. South and east of Lakes Erie and Ontario. A foot of the white stuff possible north of Syracuse. Could see some blizzard-like conditions at times in New York's North Country. This motorist in Oswego County says it's a slow go in the snow.
The snow has just been crazy. I have a little small car and it's been stuck once or twice.
The deep freeze will continue into next week. Christmas, by the way, just 2 weeks from today. Big question, will we have a white Christmas? We'll dig into that coming up. Seizure at sea. That's the other big story today. Attorney General Bondi says that oil tanker seized by the U.S. Coast Guard off the coast of Venezuela was used to transport oil to Iran. She adds the tanker was part of an illicit shipping network supporting foreign terror groups. Reporter Jared Hill.
An elite U.S. military unit rappelled from helicopters onto an oil tanker off the coast of Venezuela, guns drawn, executing a seizure warrant. The Venezuelan government called the operation a shameless robbery and an act of international piracy.
Venezuela has the largest oil reserves of any country in the world. The seizure comes as tensions rise between the U.S. and Venezuela. Democrats are worried about what happens next in that Latin American country.
We should not be trying to dominate the Western Hemisphere. This is going to drag us into a conflict that is incredibly costly.
The U.S. has launched dozens of deadly airstrikes against suspected drug boats off the coast of Venezuela. U.S. senators are debating a bill today on how to cut health care costs. The Republican plan extends Obamacare tax credits while redirecting money to health savings accounts. Louisiana's Bill Cassidy is himself a physician.
This is a way to give the American people the power of the purse and not give the profit to the insurance company.
Minnesota's Amy Klobuchar predicts Republicans will lose in next year's elections if they do not act to revive Obamacare.
You can do it with us by putting this on legislation, or we are going to march into the midterms against your resistance and win and get this done.
Democrats want to extend Obamacare subsidies for another 3 years. Republicans are demanding proof of citizenship for those on Medicaid, and they want to block funding for abortions and so-called gender-affirming care. The man accused of assassinating Charlie Kirk makes his first in-person court appearance today since his arrest back in September. 22-year-old Tyler Robinson was taken into custody the day after the murder of the Turning Point USA founder, Charlie Kirk's widow, Erica.
No rock will be unturned. I want justice for my husband, for myself, for my family, more than anyone else out there.
Lawyers for the accused killer want to limit media access in this case. Robinson could get the death penalty. Rising floodwaters in the state of Washington may force 100,000 residents to evacuate their homes north of Seattle. Governor Bob Ferguson.
I just signed a statewide emergency declaration in response to the intense flooding Washington state and Washingtonians are experiencing this week.
Reporter Camilla Bernau has more from the banks of the flood-swollen Snohomish River.
5 trillion gallons of rain has already fallen on Washington state alone in the last 7 days. The governor not only declaring a state of emergency, but also activating the National Guard.
Communities along the Skagit and Snohomish rivers could face catastrophic flooding from an atmospheric river that's dumped heavy rain in the Pacific Northwest. Faith in America America holding steady after years of decline. A new survey from the Pew Research Center finds 70% of U.S. residents identify with a religious faith. That figure has remained about the same for the past 5 years. Young Americans remain less religious than their parents. The number of those with no religious affiliation has nearly doubled the past 15 years. Time magazine revealing its Person of the Year today. Since 1927, Times picked the man, woman, group, or concept that most influenced the news, for better and for worse.
And the Person of the Year for 2025, the architects of AI. This was the year where we feel like the people who were designing, imagining, and building artificial intelligence stopped debating about how to create this technology and started racing to deploy it. And there are enormous consequences for society.
That's Times editor-in-chief Sam Jacobs.
The people building this technology are incredibly enthusiastic for the potential. But they also have warnings for us. Maybe 1 out of 5 people will be unemployed because of artificial intelligence in the next 1 to 5 years.
Jacobs says the AI we're utilizing today is the result of technology that's been 75 years in the making. The tech leaders being honored today include the likes of Facebook's Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk, the world's richest man. Still to come on the Noon Report, winter weather proves deadly. AG takes aim at Dollar General, and flu or COVID. How you can tell the difference.
Good afternoon. I'm Kevin Williams. The chill is back. We've got sunny breaks and lake flakes in the forecast. The details are up in 10.
All right, Kevin, thank you. Police are investigating a deadly crash that happened during a snowstorm yesterday near Rochester, New York. A 21-year-old driver lost control of his vehicle in bad weather and then veered into the path of an oncoming car in Macedon. The driver of that car, 60-year-old Tamara Newton, was killed. Governor Hochul under pressure to reject a major component of the New York HEAT Act is a controversial environmental policy that restricts natural gas hookups for homes.
They want to just make the system, the natural gas system, so expensive so that you have fewer people on it, and it's just going to cost those who remain on it more and more money.
Southern Tier Assemblyman Phil Palmisano says the governor needs to adopt an all-of-the-above approach when it comes to energy, and that includes continued use of natural gas.
The governor is serious about an all-of-the-above approach. If the governor is serious about affordable and reliable energy, she will veto this legislation.
The Corning Republican says if the legislation is not vetoed, the cost of owning a home will go upwards in the Empire State. There's a drought watch in effect for 37 Pennsylvania counties, and a major water company is now asking customers to voluntarily cut back their use. Pennsylvania American Water serves nearly 2.5 million homes throughout the Commonwealth. They are urging folks in the affected areas to reduce their water use by 10 to 15%. Pennsylvania's Attorney General says one of the nation's largest discount chains has been overcharging shoppers. Family Life's Brian Query reports.
Dollar General will pay $1.5 million in penalties after a state investigation found the chain repeatedly charged customers more at checkout than the prices listed on store shelves. Pennsylvania Attorney General Dave Sunday says the company failed more than 40% of price accuracy inspections between 2019 and 2023, calling the overcharges blatant deception. Dollar General, which has more than 900 locations in Pennsylvania, says it's committed to accurate pricing. Under the settlement, the retailer must improve employee training, update shelf tags weekly, conduct unannounced price audits, and post signs promising to honor the lowest listed price. Brian Query, Family Life News.
A second person has now died after a horrific blaze tore through an apartment complex in Rome, New York. That fire happened Tuesday at the Countryside Apartments on the Rome-Oriskany Road. Single-digit temperatures at the time hampered firefighting efforts. The Red Cross is assisting 20 people left homeless by that fire. Yesterday marked the one-year anniversary of the death of inmate Robert Brooks. The Rochester man was beaten to death by prison guards while being incarcerated at the Marcy Correctional Facility near Utica. His father spoke to Spectrum News.
And I just hoped that his death would be the catalyst to some real change. But it doesn't seem like that's going to be the case.
Brooks' death sparked fierce debate in New York over the need for prison reform legislation. That legislation is currently sitting on the governor's desk. Onondaga County, New York, is paying an elderly widow $3 million to vacate her home. Her home is in the town of Clay, and it's on land that's needed for the multi-billion-dollar Micron project. 5 suspects, all of them teenagers, facing charges for their alleged roles in a string of vehicle break-ins in Chi-Li, New York. Yvonne Wenzel had her car broken into yesterday. Nothing was stolen, but she's still very much on edge over that ordeal.
I've had this happen to me in the past years ago, but even though nothing was taken, you still feel personally violated.
The crime spree started at an apartment complex and ended in a high-speed police chase near the Mount Read Boulevard in Rochester. A Pennsylvania Senate panel has taken the rare step of subpoenaing the Shapiro administration. Lawmakers want to know more about the $1 million in taxpayer-funded security upgrades made to the governor's private home in the suburbs of Philly. That GOP-led inquiry is focused on landscaping and groundskeeping work at Shapiro's property in Montgomery County. The governor says those upgrades were recommended by state police following the April arson attack at his home in Harrisburg. Experts caution shoveling snow is a major cardiac concern. Dr. Justin Carlson heads up emergency medicine at St. Vincent Hospital in Erie, Pennsylvania. He tells Jet TV older folks who overdo it in the snow put themselves at risk.
One of the things that is important is to make sure that you're physically capable of doing some of the things that we need to do this time of year. And we do, unfortunately, see folks who have heart attacks and those sorts of things when they exert themselves out in the snow. Being aware of that is really important.
Dr. Carlson says make sure you take plenty of breaks when you're shoveling snow and dress in layers. Also, it's a good idea to cover up all exposed skin, especially when it's as cold as it has been outside. Well, 'tis the season for the sneezing, and experts are offering advice on how to tell the difference between the flu and COVID. Both are widespread right now. Flu and COVID share a lot of common symptoms, but the onset of those symptoms is where they differ. COVID tends to start gradually and then escalate, while the flu hits hard and fast from the get-go. Those viruses also have different incubation periods. Flu symptoms usually start between 1 and 4 days after exposure to a virus. Well, it can take anywhere from 2 days to 2 weeks for COVID symptoms to appear. Sports next. It's the 2-minute drill on the Family Life Noon Report.
Good afternoon, I'm Randy Snavely. Bob, the Oklahoma City Thunder are showing they are set to defend their championship. They have matched the best start ever through the first 25 games of the season. The defending champs are 24-1 after their blowout victory over Phoenix, 138-89. The Golden State Warriors started 24-1 back in the 2015-16 season. 49-point loss last night is the worst in Phoenix Suns history, and it was the biggest blowout this season. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander scored 28 points in 27 minutes. Chet Holmgren added 24 points in Oklahoma City's franchise record 16th straight victory. The win also moves the Thunder into the NBA Cup semifinals, where they will play the San Antonio Spurs. The Spurs punched their ticket into the Final Four of the NBA Cup with a convincing 132-119 win over the Lakers. Steven Castle scored 30 points to lead the Spurs. Luka Doncic led all scorers. He had 35 for the Lakers. On the ice, the Blackhawks shut down the Rangers in Chicago 3-0. Connor Bedard had a goal and an assist to lead the Blackhawks to their first win in 3 games. For New York, it is their 3rd straight loss. They will try to end that streak Saturday night, hosting the Montreal Canadiens. Other winners on the ice, the Red Wings edged the Flames 4-3. Another 4-3 score saw Florida come out on top of Utah, and the Kraken won in overtime 3-2 against the LA Kings. To baseball, Pete Alonso is now a former Met. He inked a 5-year deal with the Baltimore Orioles. That is a look at sports.
All right, thank you very much, Randy. And still to come on the Noon Report, atmospheric river pounds Pacific Northwest, oil tanker seized off the coast of Venezuela, and Time Magazine's Person of the Year.
Welcome to Breakpoint, a daily look at an ever-changing culture through the lens of unchanging truth. For the Colson Center, I'm John Stonestreet. Over the last several decades now, radical feminist ideas have successfully convinced generations of young people that women don't need men, that children should never come before a woman's career, that masculinity is always toxic, that sex is free, and that a woman can do anything a man can do with heels on. As a result, fewer young women aim to be wives or mothers, and many who do are ashamed to admit it. Instead, women have been taught to see the procreative aspects of who they are as problems, not gifts. According to Pew Research, women now account for record shares of chief executive and board positions, but nearly twice as many high school girls as boys say that not enough women are in the workforce. Pew also reports that the number of young women who support abortion continues to increase. In 2024, 76% of young women between the ages of 18 and 29 were pro-abortion. And even as more young men and dads seem to be returning to church, more young women and single moms are staying away. And so today, young women who align with feminist ideology are in the majority. They've been taught to put themselves before faith or family. They've been taught that certain vices are virtues, that they are the victims of a male-dominated society, and that men are their enemies. And now, a similar interloper movement is seeking to change the hearts and minds of men, just as the sexual revolution did for women. In one sense, this movement is a reaction to the excesses of COVID lockdowns, the Me Too movement, and DEI. It's a movement an awful lot like feminism, just for men. A growing segment of Gen Z males, particularly among those who lean conservative, are now following extremist influencers who teach that vices are virtues, that men are victims, and that women are their enemies. For example, there's Andrew Tate and his chest-thumping, self-focused hypermasculinity. More recently, especially in the wake of the assassination of Charlie Kirk, Nick Fuentes has gained the market share of lost boys who are looking to believe in something. Fuentes focuses on national, political, and racial preservation with a call to burn the rest of it down. His is a Nietzschean kind of call to power, which involves Jew hatred, the mocking and threatening of women, and allegiance only to white American men. Before it was taken down for violating hate speech policies, Fuentes' America First was the #1 trending podcast on Spotify. His followers, known as Grapers, are growing, even though Fuentes was also deplatformed by YouTube and Apple. His live stream following the assassination of Kirk attracted over 2.5 million views. Now, of course, fallen people, especially young men, are quick to accept explanations that excuse their own sin and treat them as victims. That's all part of Fuentes' appeal. But a bigger part here is that there's a group of young men who believe that life has no meaning, no moral structure. They're looking for identity and finding it in all the wrong places. Given the popularity of this movement, pastors and parents have to be talking to young men. They need to be asking them who they're following. They need to know what their vision is for being a man. The biblical vision of masculinity is big. It's focused outward, to loving God, protecting others, caring for families, working, providing, defending the weak, looking after widows and the fatherless, leaving things better than they were found. That stands in stark contrast to this new vision of the perpetually adolescent male, one that mocks everything and neither builds nor defends anything. It's built on outrage and frustration, which, though often can be appropriate, cannot offer a vision for life. Rather, what this vision offers is essentially feminism for men. It's going to cause as much damage to them as its counterpart has to women. The Colson Center, I'm John Stonestreet with Breakpoint.
All right, John, thank you very much. Let's head outside next. Kevin Williams.
Here is your family live forecast for this afternoon. Blustery with clouds, intervals of sunshine and flurries. Heavier lake effect snow will accumulate a few fluffy inches southeast of Lake Erie and Lake Ontario. Travel in those areas will be tricky at times. Temperatures holding steady for the most part, mainly in the 20s. Wind chills single digits. Tonight and tomorrow, partly cloudy, flurries, local lake snow and snowbelts. Low temps tonight, teens, high temps tomorrow, 20s and low 30s, and a bit of snow or flurries for many on Saturday with high temps near 30.
All right, be careful if you're headed outside today. Slippery is the weather watchword. This is the Noon Report. I'm Bob Price. Lots to get to Thursday, December 11th. Flooding along the Skagit and Snohomish rivers in the state of Washington, north of Seattle, has chased tens of thousands from their homes. Governor Bob Ferguson.
Look, the impact on Washingtonians is significant now, and it's going to be significant in the coming days, and that is an understatement.
Officials using the word catastrophic to describe the flooding from an atmospheric river that's dumped heavy rain on the Pacific Northwest. The U.S. Coast Guard has seized an oil tanker off the coast of Venezuela. Attorney General Bondi says the oil aboard was going to Iran, and the tanker was part of an illicit shipping network supporting foreign terrorists. Reporter Charlie D'Agata.
Venezuela has the largest oil reserves in the world, producing around 1 million barrels a day, much of it under U.S. sanctions. President Trump was asked what the U.S. plans to do with the oil on board the tanker.
I guess so. We're going to keep
The mission also included members of the Coast Guard and the Marines, who launched from the USS Ford aircraft carrier, now based in the region.
NBC's Kristen Welker has more on the rising tensions with Venezuela.
So where does this all go from here? The president hasn't ruled out the possibility of land strikes against Venezuela. He signaled there was going to be more action coming in the future.
There are 15,000 American forces within striking distance right now, Venezuela. The man accused of murdering conservative activist Charlie Kirk makes his first in-person court appearance today. Lawyers for 22-year-old Tyler Robinson want to limit media access during his trial. Robinson was apprehended the day after that September 10th shooting. He could get the death penalty. A new congressional report says illegal immigration under former President Biden cost the U.S. economy $150 billion. And this includes the cost of providing education and health care. Borders are Tom Holman.
Hospitals, they don't absorb that cost. They're there to make money, so they pass that on to us who have insurance. You pay it through insurance premiums. You pay that through co-pays because they got to make that money up. They're going to pass it on to you and me, the taxpayers.
Meantime, tax credits for the Affordable Care Act are going to expire at the end of the year unless Congress acts to extend the subsidies. The U.S. Senate is voting today on competing bills to bail out Obamacare.
Two dueling measures up for votes today, ahead of an end-of-the-year deadline for expiring Affordable Care Act tax credits. Democrats want to extend them for 3 years, while Republicans propose shifting those dollars into health savings accounts. Neither has the votes to pass.
Absent any action, health care premiums will increase for 22 million Americans starting January 1st. Time Magazine's honored the architects of AI as its Person of the Year for 2025. The award recognizes the impact artificial intelligence has had on the world the past 12 months. Time's Sam Jacobs says few things made more of an impact this year than AI.
AI seems to be the answer for everything in 2025. You think about a product like ChatGPT, 800 million people are using it. Think about something like what President Trump said earlier this year. If something bad happens, blame AI.
This year's Person of the Year includes the world's top tech leaders, among them Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk. A new report from the French government confirms embarrassing security mistakes gave the Louvre thieves all the help they needed to steal $100 million worth of crown jewels back in October. Reporter Holly Williams.
A damning investigation carried out by the French authorities found the heist at the Louvre could have been prevented if not for a series of security failures, including the police being sent to the wrong location after the alarm sounded, as well as inadequate CCTV cameras and monitoring screens within the world's most visited museum.
4 suspects are in custody, but the jewels themselves are still missing. The University of Michigan has fired head football coach Sharon Moore for what it calls an inappropriate relationship with a staffer. Hours later, Moore was taken into police custody. CBS's Jerika Duncan.
According to ESPN, he's a suspect in an alleged assault. However, no charges have been filed yet.
The investigation into Moore began last month, according to CBS Sports.
One of the ongoing looming questions that will hang over Michigan is, when did athletic director Ward Manuel know, and why did he not make earlier decisive action?
It's official. Veteran quarterback Philip Rivers has come out of retirement to play for the Indianapolis Colts. The 44-year-old telling reporters he never saw this day coming.
I wasn't really hanging on any hope of playing again. I kind of thought that ship had sailed. It's been a whirlwind for 48 hours, I'll say. But each moment that goes by, I feel more and more confident.
The grandfather signed, he is a grandfather. He's signed to the Colts practice squad as the team deals with injuries to all three of its quarterbacks. Rivers last played in an NFL game 5 years ago. He's on the ballot for the 2026 Pro Football Hall of Fame, but will be removed from the ballot once he's officially added to the Colts roster. The oldest player to ever play in an NFL game, by the way, was George Blanda, who suited up for the Oakland Raiders when he was 48 years old. This is the Noon Report, a Thursday edition on Family Life.
This is Faith Under Fire. We take you straight to the voices on the front lines of religious battlegrounds. I'm news anchor Sarah Harnish. With me today, New York Alliance Against Assisted Suicide Coalition's Rushan Cox. We're talking the Medical Aid in Dying Act. There's a bill sitting on New York Governor Kathy Hochul's desk right now. She has until December 31st to sign it after it passed both houses in June. If she does, the Empire State will have one of the loosest laws in the country on assisted suicide. Last week, more than 350 people attended 4 candlelight vigils organized in Syracuse, Manhattan, Albany, and Buffalo to urge the governor to veto the bill. Rushan, you were there. Tell me what's going on.
The bill that is on the table for her to sign or veto is a dangerous, dangerous bill. And it's been written in a way that is very flawed. There are very little or no restrictions to the cocktail of lethal drugs that would be given to vulnerable people. And we think this is opening the door to a lot of abuse within New York State.
And it's been passed by the Assembly and the Senate, so it's a done deal in the legislature. It just needs the pen of Kathy Hochul. But there is some chatter that she might change the bill. What are you hoping for?
Well, I would certainly hope that the bill doesn't get passed at all. And if the bill is supposedly changed, which they said, I guess there's some way that she might be able to write it with some amendments or something, that indicates already that the bill itself is a very bad bill and that it needs a lot more thought and a lot more going back to the table to see if it's something that should be passed. Personally, I think giving suicide as an option for a medical diagnosis will change how medicine is done for the rest of New York State and gives a message to anybody who is already struggling that perhaps the best way to deal with this diagnosis or whatever they're struggling with is to end their lives rather than to receive the compassion, consideration, care that we are called to as human beings to do for our fellow neighbors. This almost seems like it's giving everybody the message that it's not important to encourage people through hardship.
What makes this bill dangerous?
This specific bill is dangerous because there are very few, if any, regulations on what happens once this lethal cocktail of drugs is prescribed. It could be left in a medicine cabinet and somebody else that it's not known for, like a child or somebody else who might be struggling, can take it unbeknownst to them and obviously die, can go across state lines. It just opens up the door for the disabled, the elderly, people who are maybe not able to afford medical care. This is a cheaper way to deal with people who might feel like in some ways they're already a drain to society. And so it gives a very bad message to those who might already feel in some ways that they're a burden.
Kathy Hochul only has until the end of the year to make a decision. Why does this matter so much to you?
I have been watching New York State rapidly go down the slide of being a pro-death state and watching laws pass over and over again that basically legitimize death. This matters to me because this is one of our very last vestiges of trying to protect life in New York State. But it also matters to me. I have a father who has struggled with Parkinson's for 20 years and is still going strong, but suffering a lot. And I've also taken care of women who are in their 90s and have struggled with end-of-life issues, and yet been so blessed to walk with them through their last few days and their last years. And while it may be hard to see aging and the pain that comes sometimes with aging and disease, it's a gift. It's a gift to see what God can do through that period of time as they continue to lead on the Lord. And I would hate to see that gift being taken from any other person.
That is Rushan Cox with the New York Alliance Against Assisted Suicide. The name of the program, Faith Under Fire, comes your way Thursdays during the Noon Report or online anytime at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or FamilyLife.org.
Good afternoon. Here is your Family Life regional weather forecast. The system that brought the snow and the rain yesterday is now low pressure deepening in Nova Scotia, and in its wake, icy cold winds are carrying lake effect snows into parts of the area, and that'll be the story into tonight, and more cold air is due this weekend. Our call for this afternoon, blustery with clouds, intervals of sunshine and flurries. Heavier lake effect snow will accumulate a few fluffy inches in narrow bands to the southeast of Lake Erie and Lake Ontario. Travel in those areas will be tricky at times, and throughout the area, watch for slick spots from the overnight freeze. Temperatures holding steady for the most part, mainly in the 20s. Wind chills single digits. Tonight and tomorrow, partly cloudy, flurries, local lake snow in the snowbelts. Low temps tonight, teens, high temps tomorrow, 20s and low 30s, and a bit of snow or flurries for many on Saturday with high temps near 30.
All right, great work. Thank you, Kevin. Finally, at noon, did you know Christmas Day is 2 weeks from today? And it's got a lot of people wondering, will we have a white Christmas? Let's explore this a little deeper. Parts of New York and PA have already been blanketed in snow. It's been around since Thanksgiving, but will it last? The next few days stays below normal, very cold. But by the middle part of next week, we're back above freezing. Weather watchers point out that there is a decent snowpack already on the ground, especially in the belts, and that should hold up even during next week's warm spell. Historically, our neck of the woods has about a 58% chance of getting a white Christmas. The highest temperature ever recorded on Christmas Day in this area was in the mid-60s, set back in 1982. The lowest was -10, set in 1980. And that's our world, the world we live in. Thursday, December 11th. I'm Bob Price, Family Life News.
You've been listening to the Noon Report, heard weekdays on Family Life. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening to this Family Life News podcast. If you've been encouraged by what you've heard, please share it with others and click the subscribe button to automatically receive future episodes. Family Life is a listener-supported ministry. Podcasts like this are made possible by your financial partnership. Find out more at familylife.org.